You are now rocking with the best. This is the Hall About Sports podcast with your host, the one and only Meg Hall. If you don't know, now you know. Welcome to episode 19. I have co-host Kev with me, and we also have Mr. Tiras Ray with us. He is the host. He is the extraordinaire of Say What, Say It Again podcast. Tiras, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me, Meg and Kev. Appreciate y'all.
Can't wait. I'm excited. Looking forward to this.
All right. I don't know. I was getting some echo there. That was crazy. I don't know if you guys heard it on your end, but definitely heard it on my end. So, all right. So let's do run of show. Let's do the starting lineup first. So run of show is starting lineup, and then we'll do put me in coach. But first, the timeout. That's a special segment for you, Tyrus. And then we'll do the post game presser, which is our favorite segment of the show. Guests get to ask us all kinds of questions like, "Hey, what is your favorite, food that you like to eat? Is cereal soup? What's your life's theme song? Anything like that."
It's cereal soup. That's a very interesting.
It's my favorite one.
It was honestly, that's probably been the best question that we got so far. It was from Ben Troop. This is a little while ago. So shout out to Ben. Ben asked that, and I was like, wait, what? So, all right. So starting lineup. Let's start with that. Tell us how you got to this point. What is Say What, Say It Again?
So how I got to this point was, and I'm pretty sure this is probably the story of a lot of people. COVID, sitting in the house, there's nothing to do. Me and some buddies, we just on Facebook, the first debate was, is Jimmy Butler, I think it was top 10 or top 15, and this is 2020. And everybody's like, no, and I felt like he was. So, we kind of just going back and forth on a Facebook post. There's no podcast, there's no nothing. We're going back and forth about Jimmy Butler. And one of the guys said on the post, hey man, we should record this. And I'm like, record this? Like, nobody wants to hear this. But then, we got all this time. We kind of sitting in the house. There's really nothing to do. And so, this is when I said, I'm kind of an addicted person. So let me learn about podcasts. So I start learning as much as I can learn. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know nothing about mics. I didn't know nothing about video. I didn't know nothing about producing. So I just began to research, and we started going live on Zoom, and then Zoom turned into StreamYard, and then I ended up going to college, something I said I would never do. So I'm currently in school for sports broadcasting. I've been doing that for about 25, 26 months. I graduated in September, so I have my bachelor's in sports broadcasting. And so, Say What, Say It Again, I started learning about cameras, and I ended up going to Atlanta to the Black Sports Symposium and landing a job at ESPN. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
That's
okay.
great.
So I guess let me ask you this. When you first put it together, was it just you by yourself and maybe another guy, or did you have like a whole group of
it was
of
like
folks?
10 of us. So it was the guy puts my homeboy Avery, shout out to Avery Graves. He always his saying is career over, not over like OVER, over. OVA. So that's his thing he always says. But he was like, yeah, man, so it was like 10 of us. And then I didn't know you could do this at the time. I didn't know you can like video call a group in Messenger. That's how untech savvy I was.
Okay.
I went from that to knowing what I know now. But so and 6 people hopped on the Messenger. So when 6 people hop on the Messenger, okay, these are 6 people. So now it's 4 of us, and that's been it's been 4 of us for about 2 years now.
Okay. That's still fun though. When you get that many people, like I think, the most we've done is like 6 or 7, and that gets a little chaotic. I can't imagine 10 people on a podcast.
Yeah, it's challenging, especially if you have someone that likes to talk.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like myself, like me and Avery, we do a lot of the talking, so it's rough with other people. But I mean, the 4 of us, I think 4 is like the magic number. Either 4 or 3, 2 is fine too, but it's something about when you get to 3, 4, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Would agree. And I think that's the whole reason why, I decided to bring
That's why I'm
Kev
here.
on with me. Yeah, I was going to say, this is exactly why I have Kev here with me. It was just me holding it down for a little while, interviewing people. And then I was like, you know what, let me bring some energy in here. And Kev and I have been doing podcasting for almost a year now, believe it or not, on another podcast. So we see a lot of each other fairly regularly. But when you start bringing it on and then you add more people, it's fun. We like it. It became like a big group chat. So I'm here for that, here for those vibes. You mentioned ESPN earlier and working for them and having an internship with them. What has that experience provided for you?
The experience is great. So I don't know if you guys probably have heard of it, ESPN Daily Podcast.
Yep.
So I worked for them for 4 months as an intern, production intern. So I got I got to see the day in the life of what it's really like to work for, a big company, and to really see what it's like to do something that I love. Like as a kid, I've always dreamed about working at ESPN. That's always my thing. Like I wanted to play in the NFL because, believe it or not, that's what I wanted to do. And once I realized that wasn't a dream, I always wanted to work at ESPN, so now I could, tell my grandkids whenever I have them, and my little baby, when he gets older, I could tell him, your dad worked at ESPN. So it was amazing. And, I did it virtual, so I did it remote, but I did get a chance to go into the studio in Charlotte, and I got to meet. Can't think of the guy's name. I got to meet Takeo Spikes. I got to meet Ben Watson. Like
Okay.
them dudes, man. I had to go home and ice my hand after shaking their hands. Them dudes big. I mean, I ain't a little guy, but them some big, strong jokers, man. So, but it was amazing. It's just like, it was like 4 months of being in the Twilight Zone, but it made me realize something. It made me realize something that I would prefer going forward to be behind the camera and not in front of the camera.
Interesting. Okay.
But to answer your question of what it bought me or what it taught me was, it taught me that anything is possible. You take a kid from Fayetteville, North Carolina, like I said, never knew nothing about podcasts, and in 3 years to go from that to working for ESPN and being able to talk to people like JJ Redick. I got to ask what's the guy's name? I got to ask Alex Smith a question. In a in a thing, he probably don't remember, but I got to ask him. I got to ask him a question. I got to say something to JJ Redick. I got to listen in on recordings with Brian Windhorst. It's a guy from baseball. It's a lot of these guys. It's so many different people, but it's so many different people you get to listen to. Like almost every episode they did from I want to say September of last year to January of this year, I was pretty much a part of almost every episode in some aspect, whether it was just listening, whether it was putting stuff in order, whether it was finding sound bites, whether it was finding video, whatever I was asked to do, I tried to do my best.
Okay. I love that. That's really good experience, especially getting to meet all those different people as well. I was telling someone earlier this year that when you get to meet people that you see on TV all the time, it's a different kind of experience. You're like, oh, these people are real. It kind of becomes very, very surreal for you. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's crazy. It's like my heart was like, like when I was in there with Alex Smith, like you got to think I'm a 49ers fan. So being able to sit in there with Alex Smith is like, dude, it's like my heart's, beating so hard. Because it's like, dude, this is Alex Smith. Like, man, this is JJ Redick. I'm a UNC fan. So being able to, F you, JJ, being able to, like being able to sit in the room with him. And then it's just so many different things. Like it made me like fall in love with sports again, because every episode, I'm a basketball and football guy. I'm not really a baseball, hockey, but I had to research hockey. I felt like I had so much useless information in my head from working there. Like, why do I know this? You know what I mean? Like, we covered the Brittany Griner story several times. I think 2 or 3 times we talked about that. We talked about the Brett Favre, which has kind of disappeared, the Mississippi, the scandal. But so I knew so many different facts about that, and the other guy, the guy that's still locked up over there in Russia, the teacher. Like I just learned so much from, research. I'm sorry to ramble, but I just learned a lot.
No. I love it. Okay. Yeah. So what else do you do outside of, obviously you've had your internship, obviously you're doing podcasting, anything else? I thought I heard a little while ago that you were doing coaching, or that you'd coach some sports. Is that true?
So I've coached adults for like, I don't know, man, since like 08, 09.
Okay.
So I've been coaching adult basketball for a long time. In 2019, I got tricked into coaching a 17U rec team, and I kind of fell in love with coaching kids. So a buddy of mine was like, hey, man, you want to come be my assistant coach? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I know basketball. So, I go coach with him. And then as soon as we get there, it's something that happened overseas. He's in the military. So something that happened overseas and they had to he's in one of those units where it's like as soon as something happens, they fly them out and they're like the first ones there. So something happened. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was in a different Saudi Arabia, somewhere like that. But he had to go, and so it was like, dang, I done met these kids. I done met them. We done had like 2 or 3 practices. Now what do I do? Do I tuck tail and disappear, or do I take on the task of being their coach? So I took on the task of that, of being their coach, and this was in a different part of Fayetteville called Spring Lake. And then ironically, when COVID hits, I'm no longer working where I was working at because I was working in restaurant management. Restaurant shut down, and a friend of mine asked me, did I want to work in the school system? And I was like, no, I do not want to work in the school system. I don't even really like kids, if I'm being honest. But they was like, man, you're great with kids. I have a 15-year-old son at the time. I think he was 13 or 12. I don't know. But they're like, you're great with kids. You're great with your son. I'm like, I don't know. So I took the job. It was COVID. I'm thinking, yeah, by the time these kids actually come back in this building, I'm going to be gone. Mm-hmm. But 3 years later, I'm still there. So I've been doing that. And at the school, I coach soccer, which I never played soccer before.
Wow.
But,
okay.
What I mean? But I've learned. I had to teach myself, like I taught myself podcast. I've had to learn about soccer, and then I coach basketball. I help with football, and then I help with track as well. So.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. So speaking of coaching, we have a segment for you called Put Me In Coach, but first a timeout. So we're going to ask you several questions related to the NBA and NFL because those are your areas of specialty. Okay. If you're in support of the topic, you say Put Me In Coach and then explain why. If you're not in support of the topic, you can say timeout and then explain why. Okay. So obviously I feel like I'm probably going to be talking about the Spurs for, an endless amount of time.
Timeout.
I didn't even say anything. I didn't even start.
I was making sure it worked. Sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, all right.
I love Victor. Big fan.
So because my Spurs have a lot going on, I had to put them on the docket. So Victor Wembanyama, he had 9 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 blocks on 2 of 13 shooting in his summer league debut. My question to you, Tiras, and then of course, Kev, I'm coming to you, is do you support this stat line? So you can respond by saying, put me in, coach, or time out.
Put me in, coach. the reason why I support this stat line is I think sometimes people have unrealistic expectations. The guy played in the EuroLeague Championship a couple days before the NBA draft. He flew here from the NBA draft. 2 weeks later, nobody really, I'm going to be honest with you, people, and I have some, basketball insiders, not from my time working at ESPN, but people I've just known from podcasting, and nobody really expected him to play. Mm-hmm. So, he plays. I think people thought he was going to come out the gate and have 30 points. It was some things I seen I liked about his game. It was some things that kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. But the main thing I think he needs to work on is the footwork. I don't know what's up with he has some extremely large feet. I mean, I wear a size 15. He has to wear a size 25. You know what I mean? So they do need to work with him on that, but I think he will be fine. I think a realistic stat line to expect from him this season for his average, I think 18, probably 12, and he has to average 3 blocks a game. I think I'm being modest. But I hate to say he's going to average 5 or 6 blocks, and you know what I mean, that. I just feel like I'm fanning if I say that. But I think Victor Wembanyama will be fine. I don't. The first game wasn't that bad in my opinion. He had some stuff he should have made. He had a move he made. I think it was his third bucket. His third should have been his third attempt. I'm sorry. He made a move and went to dunk, and he was up there. It was so easy, and it just came out. It just wasn't his night.
Okay. All right. Kev, what you got?
I'm gonna go with Tiras on this one. I'm gonna say put me in, coach. I think I won't just repeat everything he said, but I agree with everything that Tiras just said, and I do think that Victor is going to throughout this entire season, at the very least, be a victim of previous success, be a victim of his own hype. right? We were the ones drooling over those 3-point. He's shooting floaters from the 3-point line and making them. Well, guess what? Probably not going to happen a lot if he lines up against Milwaukee. He's not going to be pulling those off rookie year. I think when I think of Victor, I think a lot of Kevin Durant. Early when he came out, he was a little too skinny. People got worried. A muscular big man throws a savage dunk on him, and everybody's like, oh no, he's paper thin, a stiff breeze will knock him over, and he was fine. He will adjust. I think it's going to be similar with Victor. Of course, their games are going to be different, but yeah, there's going to be a learning curve here, and he's going to have to learn how to use his body in an NBA style of play. But no, give him some time. There will be some mistakes, but no, he's going to be perfectly fine. And I think it was smart to just they played him the one game, right? And then
he played two.
He played two games. Sorry, okay, 2 games. I think.
Yeah, and Sunday he had 27 and 12 and 3 blocks. So
hello, took the words right out of my mouth.
I mean, I just don't know a time where we started worrying about summer league games. Like nobody never even really like they said. I just seen an email that said that this is the most watched summer league game I think it was ever.
Second most watched.
So nobody watches the summer league. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I ain't been watching it until I seen he was playing. I saw people playing. Let me say this on my schedule Friday night. I told my son, I said, look, you like my 1-year-old. Hey, look, man, I know you want to watch Miss Rachel and all this other little stuff you watch. You got to watch some basketball with Daddy because we watching Victor Wembanyama play.
Yeah. I will also tag in. I'll say put me in, coach, on this one because I'll say this as a basketball lover as well, and as a realist about my teams, I try to set expectations all the time. And I said to friends, I said to my husband, I said to just my circle, like, y'all have to breathe. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta breathe. The kid's already got a lot of pressure on himself because they've dubbed him kind of like the next like LeBron James, right? Like that kind of hype. I get it. But I didn't expect him to come out the gate just, 40 points in this game, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. Like, no. And he said it the best. He came straight from his championship. He got drafted. He's been traveling for basically 2 to 3 weeks. He had 2 practices, essentially 2 to 3 practices before he had a summer league game. And then he was thrown out there and he's trying to learn a different kind of, almost a little bit of a different style of play because the rules aren't exactly the same in the NBA, right? So you're expecting someone to just come out and have greatness. Okay, fine. So the other thing that I wanted to point out is, he did exactly what I thought he was going to do in a second game. I'm like, okay, he's going to be a little bit better. Like, wasn't expecting 25, but I was like, all right, maybe he throws down like 15, 18 points or whatever else. Okay, cool, fine. And to the point, I think my only concerns were developing his post moves. He's slim, so he's trying to back people down. Is not really going. He's not really moving anyone. So he's going to have to figure out ways to do that. And then, of course, leveraging his height to shoot over people. You've got these massive, long limbs. Like, use your limbs. If you can develop this overarching, jump shot, like, use it. Nobody's up there with you. Like, use it. Figure out ways.
Yeah, get that Dirk high release or, hey, work on a Kareem hook shot at that point.
Listen, I'm Tim Duncan. Hello.
Hey, that's what I was about to say. If I'm running the Spurs right now, he's going to be locked in the gym with Tim Duncan and Akeem Olajuwon. Footwork and fundamentals.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he'll be fine.
Absolutely. He's going to be fine. I'm not worried. All right. So next question for you. We're going to keep it NBA. So the NBA is introducing the first ever in-season tournament. Do you support this idea? Put me in or time out?
What do you say if you're in the middle? Because I want to put me in, but once I get in, I want a timeout. Because this is probably the best, worst ideal ever. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Normally, I think Adam Silver. I think Adam Silver's a smart guy. I don't know what he was doing with this. Like, it would make more sense to me if only the bad teams played. Because you don't play on TV anyways, and your guys aren't load managing unless they're hurt. So it would make more sense to me if your bottom 4 teams in each conference play, like your Orlandos, your Houstons, your Detroits. If those teams played, why would I? Like, of course, as a fan, I want to see LeBron. I want to see Giannis and Jokic, and I want to see all these different guys more. Like, who doesn't want to see more basketball? But what I don't want to see is these guys hurt, and then we can't see them in April, May, and June. So I guess I'm gonna have to say timeout. But I told somebody this on the phone right before we got on this. I said, this would have never happened if Chris Paul was still the head of the Players Association. CJ McCollum, you got to take this L, buddy. This would never happen if CP3 was in charge.
Kev,
Right.
what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Tyrus is absolutely right on that last point. So walking backwards, I will say I'm either calling a timeout on this one or I'm getting it technical because I am on the court trying to get that timeout. Hey, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Timeout, please. And Tyrus touched on it. Not only do I think that it's going to does it have the risk for us to lose some key players in the playoffs if they play? Yes. And I think for that very reason, we're not going to see anybody that we would want to see play in these tournaments anyway, because what are they playing for? And please do not go Rob Manfred on me and say we're going to play for home court advantage in the NBA Finals. I will scream. No, don't do that. Like, don't go that far.
I think it's money involved. I heard it was 500,000.
Oh, well, that might motivate.
Okay,
yeah,
that ain't no money to the top guy. That's some money to Joe Smo on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
back to your idea.
I mean, put me in, coach, for 500,000. Just say
right, but LeBron is like 500,000. Man, I spend that gassing up the G5 or whatever.
So I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, but I'm just going to throw out an idea because we talked about this during this NBA All-Star break. I don't know why the NBA doesn't just sort of focus more on the G League and make it more about the youth, focus more on the rising stars. We've had issues with the All-Star break as well, and I don't know what the timing is going to be of this midseason tournament, but instead of putting us in situations where the best teams are going to rest their best players in this tournament, or we're going to have to watch two teams that this year were in the Wemby watch play. Why don't we have some sort of G League showcase? Like, why don't we try to build more into this league that we're invested in and get more people? I mean, like, there's momentum here. As you mentioned, more people watching the summer league than ever. People will get invested in this, I think, if it's done right. So, that's where I would pivot.
But a weird thing, Kev? Last year's All-Star game was the least watched All-Star game ever. I tried to go back. I couldn't even see the ratings from the 80s. Like, the ones in the 90s, like, this All-Star game was I'm not going to say it was – I don't even know if I watched it. I can't even say it was that bad, but they've never seen ratings this low. Now, granted, you have to take some things into account. Everything's subscription-based now. People are going away from cable. Everybody got Fire Sticks. And maybe those numbers don't calculate. But like you said, they got to do something, man. Like, they got to revive the All-Star game or turn it into a banquet. I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Finally start an NBA-specific Hall of Fame. Quit with this basketball Hall of Fame stuff. And then just do that every halfway point. We're just going to do the Hall of Fame. No, we'll do a dunk contest in the Hall of Fame. There you go.
I don't even think you should. That's getting to the point where that's getting – if you don't start bringing in these guys like Guy Dubuis and what's the other guy named? Kilgannon and these different guys, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
We're trying.
I see the stumble. I see the look of confusion and frustration.
Yeah, because I don't like. I'm a big direction person, and it's like he's saying, momentum. More people watching Summer League now than ever. We have so many young stars, LaMelo, Anthony Edwards. Like, we have so many young guys. That's up and coming, but it's like, what are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing? I don't know where we're going, Adam Silver, and he only makes great decisions. This decision, I think, was influenced by money and greed. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here. I mean, I took a look at this 6-minute video. I think it felt like 6 minutes. It probably wasn't 6 minutes, but it was something, to that nature, them trying to explain this tournament, which is probably like a 2-minute video. But it was, hey, we're going to have these in-season games. It starts in, I think, November, and it's played throughout the month of November into early December. The championship gets played in Vegas. So there definitely is a money draw there somewhere in this, in entertainment money draw somewhere in there. But my immediate thoughts were, all right, if some of these regular season games are going to count towards this cup play or whatever else, I don't know how much of this is going to make a dent in how much people are interested in playing it. Like, I don't know if there are going to be players like, like a LeBron or a KD or someone or a Steph Curry who are going to be like, yeah, we won the Commissioner's Cup. Like,
Yeah, we won.
I mean, that's going to be nice, but it's not like again, I don't think anyone's going to be like, all out every single night in November, because they want to go play the Commissioner's Cup. Like, it's just, I don't see that.
LeBron is a competitor. And as much as I'm not really, even though I'm a Lakers fan, I'm not a really LeBron fan. I think he's one person that'll be able to get people on board, him and Steph. A guy like Kyrie, I don't think he gives a dang about the Commissioner's Cup. I mean, if he didn't make $20, $30 million a year, I don't think he would give a dang about playing in the NBA. But Kyrie ain't that crazy, though.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's switch over to football. So training camp starts in a few weeks, and DeAndre Hopkins is still unsigned, but there's some rumblings, of course. Do you support paying him like a top receiver? And top receiver means $20 million a year or more. Is this a put me in coach moment, or is this a time out moment? Kev, I'm actually going to. Okay, Tyrus was like, wait, time out. Time out. But all right, Tyrus, we'll start with you. I see you said timeout. Let's go for it.
Timeout, but it's not timeout because of his ability. It's a timeout simply based because it's similar to most sports. All the teams that can pay him $20 million don't have the money. So, what I would do if I'm him, I'm not his agent, nor am I involved with DeAndre Hopkins any bit. You go play to win. You go to Kansas City. You go to Buffalo. You go play to win. Anybody that can give you $20 million has spent $20 million. So I don't think anybody has it to give to him. Not saying that he's not deserving. Now, granted, the last 2 years, I don't know what the heck he's been on. He was hurt, and for a little bit he was suspended for a while. But I do still think that he's still DeAndre Hopkins, and he still can help a team win.
Solid answer. What you got, Kev?
I agree with Tyrus on this one. I'm going to take a timeout, and I think next year is the year for Hopkins to go after. It sounds like, from what I've heard, he wants he wants to be paid like a top receiver, but play for a winner. And I don't know how that happens. I think, what are the ones that I hear the Patriots a lot. I can't remember who the other team that I hear a lot, but they're both quarterback options that I believe aren't exactly what Hopkins is looking for. And I think now there's definitely some risk involved here. So it's hard for me sitting here to say, hey, why don't you bet on yourself and go take a deal that worked, go get the best deal you can with a contender. And you're going to go put up numbers. Like, I cannot even imagine, if we're just saying, you mentioned the Bills, for fun's sake, I don't know if the money works at all, but like Hopkins on the Chiefs with Mahomes, one season with one of these good situations, I don't think he has any problem getting that max money for 2 or 3 more years from the next team. And then, he has a chance to maybe go get a ring while he does it as well. But I get that that's a gamble. If I were worth as much as he is, I might not want to take that gamble either. I might want to just get my money now. So it's a tough one, Meg, but I'd have a hard time. I'd have a hard time putting me in on that one, Coach.
Yeah, I'm in a timeout as well. Dumping a whole lot of money into wide receiver doesn't really excite me at the moment, because we've not really seen it pay off in the last couple of seasons. Just, again, there are several folks who make 20 plus in the league, so obviously he's worth that, and they're not near his talent, let me say that. But I like, whenever I hear numbers like, these outrageous cap numbers like 30 million and 40 million and 50 million, and that just Like, it makes me nervous. Thank goodness it's not my money. But I think at this point, like, you're right, Kev. You mentioned it earlier that and I think Tyrus mentioned this as well, is like the teams that could pay him can't.
Yep.
So the couple teams that are in the mix right now is Titans. I don't think that they're in a position to just throw money at him, right? Like and sorry, Titans fans, just being honest. I think Titans fans want him for the simple fact they need the production, they need the boost to their offense. That offense was pretty putrid last season. Your wide receiver one was hurt most of the season, or a couple of games of the season. So you needed help there. For the Patriots, sure, it would give Mac Jones, a really nice target, but are the Patriots a contender? I don't really see that. Like, I don't see that roster as currently being one that's going to go deep into, the playoffs, and then let alone challenge Kansas City for the AFC, right? Or just, again, these are things that I think about when we say, like, hey, I want to go play for a contender. Like, are you built to go up against the Kansas Cities of the world? Are you built to go up against, the Philadelphia Eagles of the world? Like, that's the upper echelon. So if you're not built to do that, like, I wouldn't even look that way. It's my 2 cents.
Yeah, you want to go play for a Bill Belichick coach team that might be last in its division this year? I don't.
I mean,
It's tough to say with that, right? Like, I'm not saying that they're the worst team in division. What I'm saying is, with what we've got there, I see scenarios where the Patriots are in 4th.
Yeah,
I mean, go ahead.
If I'm looking at Ryan Tannehill and Matt Jones, hey,
I'll take a discount.
My homeboy, can you take a little bit off your contract so I can get a little piece? So I can get maybe 10 million? Come on, look out for your boy. I mean, I'm just saying, like, Ryan Tannehill, and then you playing on a team that's not going to pass. They want to run that thing all the time with Derrick Henry. Like, only time they passing is on 3rd and long. Like, man, no, don't put me in, coach, over there. Can't do it.
All right, and then the last question we have is there's been some noise about Sean Payton and Russell Wilson and that pairing. A lot of people are predicting that Sean Payton can fix Russell Wilson and his issues. Do you support this notion? Is this a put me in, coach, or is this a timeout? Go with you, Tyrus.
This will put me in, coach. I think this is a work fine. I think the guy, like, this is the thing that's weird to me, and I've never understood it. Anybody that's an offensive coordinator or that works with Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady, all of a sudden they're this guru. Oh, they're this person. They're the next offensive guru. Then they go somewhere else and it's career over. And you're like, what? Like, this guy was with Aaron Rodgers. He goes to the Denver Broncos, and he don't even know how to coach. Like, he's terrible. I don't like, and then Russ, I don't, let Russ cook. I don't know if he was cooking and the stove was turned off, or if he was cooking and he was burning everything. Like, I don't necessarily know, like, what he was doing. Like, I don't really know, but I think Russ will be fine. Like, I loved him in Seattle. Like, I refuse to believe that everything was Pete Carroll and none of it was Russell Wilson. Like, that's one thing. And then I think the offense that Denver played didn't fit the way Russ played. Russ is I forgot the word, but he's the type of person that he's not really like a drop back and pass. He's not like a 5-yard slant type of guy. He's a hold the ball, throw the ball downfield. He's these guys are coming at me. Let me take off for 5 or 10 yards, run around for a little bit, then throw the ball down the field. Like, you know what I mean? So he's I think it's an improviser. Yeah, yep. He's an improviser. That's what he is. Him. Like, I don't think I love Mahomes, but I don't think Mahomes will be great in a Tom Brady like system where he's throwing like 5-yard slants and digs and stuff like that. I think these guys, you have to let Russ be Russ. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what Sean Payton would do. Sean Payton, he's an actual, I'm not trying to say anything about the other guy, but he's an actual coach. He'll come in, he'll assess where Russ does well, and he'll add to it. And I think Russ and Sean Payton will be fine. I would not be surprised if Russ is considered to be in the MVP conversation this year.
Ooh.
I think it'll really turn around. I can't even think of the bonehead coach that was in Denver, but
Hackett.
And
Yeah, the thing Hackett. Like I'm just saying, anytime, like, just keep your eye on it. Anybody that coaches with them three guys, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, like my man had to leave the Chiefs to get a job, even though I wouldn't have wanted no dang Houston Texans job anyways. But I mean, that's another thing too. I'm not leaving the Chiefs to go coach the Houston Texans. I'm gonna be right back at the Chiefs in 2 years.
Exactly. Yep. No, I wouldn't have done that either.
Okay. All right. Well, Kev, do you want to add to that? Because I think Tiras might have just dropped the mic.
Yeah. No, I will. I feel bad. We will not be getting calls from Fox Sports anytime soon because we're not really debating much this episode. It's been what I like to call a bit of a bobblehead segment because I'm going to agree again. Now, with the caveat, I will call timeout. I'm going to save at least one timeout before the 2-minute warning on the Russ getting back to MVP status. But I will say that for the same reasons that Tyra said, Sean Payton, I believe what he can do. I believe there is still something left in the tank with Russ. Can't forget that Denver had a lot of injuries at running back last year. They had virtually no running game that they could depend on. So maybe let's see. Also a lot of injuries in that wide receiver room. It's still some talent in that wide receiver room, though. So if they stay healthy, good coaching scheme, I think I definitely see them being much better than last year. So I will buy that. I can, Tyrus can tell me, he told me so when we get to the MVP conversation, though.
I mean, I'm just saying if people remember the year before he was in the MVP conversation in the beginning of the season, probably to week 12. Then all of a sudden Seattle just fell off a cliff. I think they became very predictable in what they were doing. Russ likes to hold the ball and wait for DK and they started forcing the ball to DK. Like DK started becoming a little whining crybaby. He's in my division, so I'm glad he became a whining crybaby. But he started becoming one of these guys that wanted the ball all the time. I mean, it does make Russ look kind of bad that Geno comes right in, and I think we did a debate on our show where we were saying, we always talk about the top 5 quarterbacks. Who's the worst quarterback in the NFL? And somebody on our show, I won't say it, Avery, said that Geno, this is going into the season, he said that Geno was the worst quarterback out of all 32 quarterbacks. I think the guys were Geno, Marcus Mariota, and who else was terrible? Who was a quarterback at Carolina?
Was it Baker going into the season?
Yeah, it was Baker and Darnold. They had a lot.
It wasn't them two. I can't remember who the third person was, but I know the consensus was what was my guy, or it was somebody. I said I can't even remember because I'm like, y'all don't even know who this guy. Somebody was like, I don't even know who they are. Even somebody tried to throw Trevor Lawrence in there.
No, wow. What's up, Drake?
Because that's something you always think about. You always think about who the best guys are. You always think about top 5, top 10. You never think about who's the worst 5. Who's the worst 10? You know what I mean? Like, if I asked you right now, who's the worst quarterback coming to this season, you'd probably be like, I don't know.
Worst?
Because it's hard to say because you can't really judge. You can't use rookies because we don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
like you know what I mean. We don't know what these new guys are going to do, so you have to kind of go off what you seen last year, and
I mean, I like. We're talking about starting quarterbacks or just the worst quarterback in general?
Starting quarterback right now, I think it has to be.
It's got to be
Baker.
I was just about to say I don't know who's going to start in Tampa, but whoever wins that job gets my vote.
Ritter in Atlanta, because I've only seen 4 games out of Ritter, so I would put him on the list. 5 though, like.
Yeah, like Baker has to his performance, but it's sometimes I think guys are treated unfairly because sometimes we judge guys with no weapons. Like people, were saying how bad Justin Fields was, and I'm like, dude don't like. First of all, it depends on what you consider bad. He's a great fantasy quarterback. He puts up great numbers in fantasy. I'll say that. But tell me who his best wide receiver is.
DJ Moore.
It was.
Now it's DJ. Now it's DJ Moore. But last season, you're probably like, you probably would name somebody that nobody really knows.
Healthy? I'd have named a running back, honestly.
You get what I'm saying? Like
I would have said Cole Kmet.
Yeah, like the same. Right. Cole Kmet, the tight end. The same thing could be said for, and I make this argument all the time about Cam. Like, granted, Cam ain't what he used to be,
Yeah.
But when Cam was in Carolina, you're really telling me that Cam went to the Super Bowl and his best wide receiver was Ted Ginn Jr.
Hey, it was making things happen.
Yeah, he was making things happen, but Ted Ginn Jr., that's the best you can give me? A guy that could barely catch? Come on, man. Like, theoretically, it's like, and then your other best wide receiver, but until he got hurt, was Kelvin Benjamin, and this dude's a tight end now.
No.
Maybe might not even be in the league, I mean, if we're being honest, but it's some weird, it's like people take guys they like and they say, oh, well, he doesn't have no weapons. I'm like, well, look at Ken Weapons. His weapons is no better, but if it's another guy that they like, they'll say, well, what do you expect then? But if it's somebody they don't like, they'll say,
Yeah,
they'll trash him. Yeah, and Baker might be in that same situation that Geno was in too, because not only has it been a lack of weapons, but it's been a rotating door of different coaches and different schemes and all of that stuff. So, at this point, I kind of think we've seen the ceiling, but I was one of many who was surprised by Geno around this, not quite a year ago, but we're coming up on it. So I don't know, maybe he'll find the magic.
I don't know if anybody's seen the Geno coming. I just know like what's the guy's name? He was in with Geno. No, Geno wasn't the guy with the Chargers. Who was the guy with the Chargers? It was with the Browns. He broke his ribs and they punctured his
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor.
Reason that Justin Herbert got his.
I always thought Tyrod Taylor was pretty good. I just always felt like he had very bad luck.
So bad.
Like they killed the dude. They punctured it. The surgeon or the team doctor punctured his lung.
You know, the funny thing is when I saw him in April at Black Sports, like that was my first thought. I was like, holy, I mean, he's not a massive guy, right? Like he's really not. Like he's a medium-sized guy. So like, you think about something like that. Like I just, in my mind, I was like, that poor man. Like,
I just, it sucks that I don't always think that sports is always about ability as much as we make it seem that it really is. Sometimes I think it's about circumstances. Like, I just think it's really about circumstances. Like some guys, I ain't gonna say they're lucky. We'll say they're blessed. Some guys are blessed, and some guys, you get one or two situations where you're hurting, and it might be career over for you.
Would agree. All right. So with that note, we're going to turn over to the post-game presser. So this is the part of the show where, of course, you get to ask Kev and I questions. So these can be any questions that are on your heart. We will try to answer them to the best of our abilities. What do you got for us?
Top 10 NBA players. I got to add some stipulations to it. So top 10 NBA players this past season. We just going to base it off. We'll do 5. Just based off of last season.
Kev, you go first.
Are we just doing favorite or who was the best?
Who do you think was the best 5 guys?
Who was the best 5?
I'll tell you what, do 2. Give me your best 5, then give me your favorite 5.
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to write these out. So, of course, I'm going to put Jokic up there. I'm going to put Embiid up there. Some of these, I might have to explain myself as I talk through some of these because I think I'm about to put Giannis up there because I do think without a back injury in the first round, we might have been looking at a different story. So let me put Giannis as my 3rd. Oh, this is really tough because now we're going to start. My favorites are already starting to bleed in my ear. I'm starting to hear Darren Fox and Tyrese Halliburton in my ear. And I'm like, come on, guys. We're not there yet. Relax. Let me see. Oh, the top 5. That's really tough right now. Who else am I gonna? Oh man, Meg, you got any in your top 5 while I painfully debate myself?
Like I'm over here like looking because I'm like I got like 2, so you're trying to make me do 5. All right, so Jokic
first is always the toughest.
Jokic is definitely on my list. That's there. I think I got to put LeBron in there because of the longevity and he broke the scoring record. Like he has to go in there. Giannis was on my list. That's what is that, 3?
And then it's tough because you have some injuries involved. Like
maybe
Jason
Tatum.
Yeah, Tatum was. I've been kicking around Tatum.
And then I got to put a fifth one, right?
Jimmy Butler might be. Jimmy Butler's probably gonna be in my 5.
I
But it's tough. Then you got to deal with the recency bias, right? Is it?
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm trying to think past like that,
Man,
but
it's somebody neither one of y'all ain't said yet, and I'm kind of shocked.
oh
I know.
gosh,
I know there's an obvious one that's just.
I'm gonna say Jimmy Butler, and I would say, well, can I do an honorable mention?
Good.
I would say before his legal troubles, I would say John Morant definitely was in that mix.
I mean, well, not necessarily legal troubles. I mean, get
Well,
suspended. I bet, But
but
I get what you're saying.
yeah.
I mean, I can't believe you didn't say Luka.
Oh,
of course.
Like. Granted, they didn't make the playoffs, but for me,
okay,
I agree kind of with what he said. Embiid is the MVP. That's no brainer. Jokic, best player in the playoffs. I get it. Tatum averaged 30-something points. Like he had an amazing season. Luka, and then my fifth person. I mean, it's kind of hard to keep Durant off of there. It's between Durant or Steph. Like both of them, they'd probably be like 5A, 5B for me. I love LeBron and he broke the record, but I think all those guys, like at one point, except for maybe Steph, all those guys would have been in the MVP. Well, I didn't even say Giannis, did I?
Mm-mm.
Oh wow.
No,
I gotta take somebody out for Giannis.
That's where it gets.
We gotta take somebody out for Giannis. I mean, you gotta somebody got to go because I mean, Giannis. I mean, you could argue that he's the best player in the NBA. I think it's a conversation between him and Jokic right now.
So you're making me draw on my basketball knowledge, and now I feel bad for being immersed in football for so much of the season, because I was like, wait a minute, hold on, I got like 3, even though I watched plenty of basketball.
I think what it is with Luka, it's like the most recent memories are kind of a depressed Luka with
that's probably why
great.
when the sky was falling with him and Kyrie.
I think my last footage that I saw of him was at one of those post games where he was just kind of like, I'm not having fun, or I can't remember exactly what it was. And it was one of those moments everyone puts way too much into because it's right after a game and it's hard enough. I think we've all dealt with it to some level at this point. Like this guy, they don't give you a lot of time before the press is in your face with questions.
That would be the one thing I don't know if I could do. Like if I was an athlete, I don't really think I could deal with people, like, no disrespect to media, because I know we're all like a extension of media. I can't deal with me losing and people coming asking me dumb questions. Like when they asked Giannis, well, was this season
a failure?
Failure, and it's like, I mean, he gave a weird answer, because if you don't win a championship, when you're expected to win a championship, you're a top 2 team. It's championship or bust. You're not paying 3 guys max money to make the second round. You know what I mean? You're paying 3 guys max money to make at least the conference finals. You know what I mean? So to me, I mean, it's failure. But now we're in the participation trophy era. Where I don't give my child no participation trophy, man. If they don't say first place champion on that mug, you can keep that runner up mess. I don't want it.
Hey,
that's just me.
Some of us small market fans, as I show my Pacers flag behind me, all we can hang are division banners. All right, that's
that's your participation trophy.
I swear, if they put a play-in banner up there, I quit. I'm not going to support.
Hey, but look, but to me, it's different. Like expectations mean a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why Bud Budenholzer was fired. They were expected to make the finals again. And somehow, Boston kind of, Boston and Miami kind of snuck, Miami just kind of, I think Miami caught everybody by surprise, but nothing Jimmy Butler does surprises me.
I mean, but they've been coming for a couple of years. I remember Bubble Jimmy, that was brewing. So like that whole, here's the thing though, and I don't think a lot of people were talking about it. Like Eric Spoelstra is underrated as a coach, like heavily underrated. And people don't think about it now because it's been a while since Spo has won some championships, but there's a reason why he was winning championships. And I'm not shocked at the play that he was bringing out of Miami, because hello, if you've watched anything that Spoelstra has done in the last, we'll say 10 years, then you knew what to expect there. So I mean, if you got players on your team like, Jimmy Butler for one, yeah, you're gonna get something out of there.
Yeah, well, I call it the Miami way. Like Pat Riley has done a great job of instituting the Miami way. They get guys that buy in and that play hard, and it should show. Like I told some buddy of mine, I say, everybody talks about athleticism in the NBA. I think the NBA Finals debunks that argument. Mm-hmm. You had 3 guys typically that were the best players on the court, and when none of them were athletic. Jokic, not athletic. Jimmy Butler, I'm not saying he's not athletic, but that's not something you think about when you think about his skill set. The same thing with Jamal Murray. Like, you think all these guys are being very skilled and kind of cerebral guys. You don't really think about them being, oh, man, this guy's jumping off the gym. He's 40-inch vertical. He's running a 4.40. Like, you don't think about that with those guys, especially Jokic.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that was a good question. What else you got for us?
Oh, man. So I got an over or under question for you.
Ooh. Oh, gosh. Okay.
So Kansas City Chiefs, over or under 13 wins this season?
Oh, wow. Okay. Give me the over. I'm going to take the over.
Do you think they're going to win more than what they play 17 games?
Yeah, they're going to go 14-3, I guess.
Possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible with Mahomes.
Exactly. I would say, but I feel like I should be picking the under, but it's one of those where I'm like, you know what? No, we're going to take the over, because each time there have been a couple of different iterations of this Chiefs team where I've been like, oh, Tyreek's not there. They don't quite have the weapons on the outside that they've had before. And somehow, some way, between Mahomes and Reed and definitely Eric Bieniemy, they've been able to draw something up, and they some way, even though everyone, even people like me who just play fantasy football, we all know Travis Kelce's going to get the ball. Somehow he always gets open. They find a way to do it. So yeah, I don't know. They probably shouldn't win 14 games, but they'll do it. And then they'll claim that we all doubted them too. They'll say that nobody believed in us while they're celebrating another championship.
I'm actually going to take the over as well. I think for the Chiefs, I start at 13 games and then work my way up from there. Like, is anything else possible? So I think 14 games is not even, asinine for them. I can't really see them losing more than 2 to 3 games in a season unless, I don't know, like something wild happens at the end of the game and somebody just wins that way. Like, to say the Chiefs would only win 12 games sounds wild to me. So, and maybe I've been influenced by my Chiefs friends and that sort of thing. So shout out to Jody, who is she one of my good dear friends, and she is in the trenches on Chiefs. But yeah, I just can't see a world in which, they win less than that. I feel like, who's going to stop them is the better question. Who's going to stop them from getting more than 13 wins?
I don't know. What's the name's had their number for a little bit now? The Chargers. They kind of been, they've been roughing them up a little bit. And
they usually split that series though with the Chargers.
I think you'll look for the Las Vegas to take a step back career for them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Chiefs, like the only folks who really, really have their number right now is the Bengals. They have like thoroughly gotten the better out of them. Yeah, they've gotten the better of them several times, so I wouldn't be shocked there. But okay, all right.
I thought we were gonna be on separate sides on that one. I was like, I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna go.
Listen, I was this close in my mind. In my mind, I was like, could I do? But when I was gonna take the under, but then I was like, how deep or how low are you going, Meg? Because you're not going to 10 wins, you're not going to 11, you're definitely not going, 12 doesn't really see 12 feels nasty. So like it's gotta be 13. Start there. And so I don't know if you saw my brain, but I was definitely rationalizing in my head over here, and I was protecting myself because I know if this part gets clipped and put on social media, Chiefs fans are gonna be like, what? You said what? So Had to save myself. So, all right, what else you got?
In a PPR league, now this is points per reception.
Yeah.
Who's your number one pick in fantasy draft?
Oh man,
You picking one?
I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't started my fantasy research yet. Meg, what do you got? Who you
I'm going Travis Kelce. I'm going Travis Kelce.
At one? Sheesh.
Yes, at one. At one.
Tight ends do be scarce.
So
yeah, that's why I'm going Travis Kelce at one.
10 people you pick first. You pick snake style. Ain't no tight end. It's career over for the tight ends when you get a pick.
I mean, the thing is though, like the top tier tight ends are Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, like probably George Kittle after that in a healthy offense.
Don't say probably now.
Well,
if he stays healthy,
exactly.
That's his issue.
It's just how many
I said probably because, and I said healthy. Healthy was the word. Healthy and probably.
Put some respect on his name.
Listen,
with the K at the end.
I'm a huge Kittle fan, but that's definitely, is Kittle going to be healthy, and who the heck's playing QB? Like,
I think they're proving last year, as long as it's not Josh Johnson or whatever his dang name is. I think it doesn't matter.
That's probably fair. All right, yeah, I'm going Travis Kelce.
Ooh, I have been slowly being converted. Now, last year I lost in some playoffs to some RB0 teams. I, for the longest time, have been running back in the first round, PPR, half point PPR, whatever it is. But I feel like I'm starting to come around on the new strategy. So who would it be? Would it be? Is it Chase in this instance? I saw someone celebrating somehow they had a back end. They had Jefferson and Chase somehow.
That's what I was gonna say. You wouldn't go Jefferson? Like,
no. I'm thinking it's Jefferson. Sorry, that's where I was working my way to Jefferson.
I was like, what?
Did he go for like 2,000 yards last year?
Yeah, I think it's got to be.
I had him
if you're
too.
going nice. Okay, so I think so. I don't know. I got bit by Christian McCaffrey 2 years in a row at number 1 overall. I will never draft him again at number 1 overall. I'm not saying the talent's not there. So you could say to me, Kevin, what about Christian McCaffrey? And I might say, okay, that could be a good call too. But honestly, I'd probably go Jefferson.
In my opinion, I think the only running back I would take number 1 is the guy I just talked about, Derrick Henry. Like, he's the safest bet. I like McCaffrey. He gets used a lot. He gets hurt. I like Saquon Barkley. He gets used a lot. He gets hurt. Those two guys, if they're healthy, they're steals. The same thing with Alvin Kamara. But he's going to miss some games too. So, it's like your top guys, and then we don't know what's going on with Dalvin Cook. Like, we don't know if he's playing. He's in the same boat as the aforementioned D-Hop. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't signed yet. So we don't know. So for me, it's King Henry, or I don't know if it's Justin Jefferson. I know a lot of people are always tempted to take, like, somebody always takes Lamar in the first round. Like, for me, a quarterback. I don't take a quarterback till I got everything. Like, I'll take First Cousins.
Yeah, that's my strategy too. Usually,
I'll take First Cousins, Derek Carr,
Dak for me. I usually go like late in those rounds. I'll get two quarterbacks.
I can't mess with a Cowboys player. I'm taking no Cowboys players. I might take that defense though, but I ain't taking no Cowboys players. But so that's usually why I end up going with quarterbacks. Like I know last year I had Joe Burrow.
Okay.
But I got him late. I think people were surprised that I had him. They were like, how you get and then I think I had Tom Brady in another league, but
so I'm in a league right now that is actually drafting right now. It's a slow draft. It's 8 hours per pick. It's a specialty league. So if you've heard of Scott Fishbowl, it's the largest fantasy football charity league. So I got an invite to that, and I'm in that league right now. And let me tell you this, the scoring is absolutely bananas. There is heavy priority on tight ends because they get extra points, some special extra points, and there's heavy priority on quarterbacks because there's extra points in there. So in the first 20 picks, there was 12 quarterbacks that went. I'm not even kidding. And I'm normally I don't pick quarterbacks until 7th, 8th round, and I'll finally be like, okay, cool, let me get a quarterback. I still haven't picked one yet. But I'm about 5 picks in now of picking wide receivers and running backs, and I got my tight end and all that. But as I'm doing so, I'm watching people like, for example, Kev, this will be one for you. Anthony Richardson was drafted in the 3rd round. Third round. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, what? Wait a minute.
League? Was redraft league?
No, this was like pure draft, like just as is in the 3rd round. And I was like, all right. Like, so that's what we're doing. Okay. So yeah, it's a new experience. I'll report back, and let you know how it works.
I think the toughest thing for me is the rookies, man. Because like last year,
yeah,
I reached on Pitts. I was like, oh, I gotta get Pitts. And I reached and I got him because I was in fear of not having a good tight end. I got him and he didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there every week like, dude, when you gonna like do something? But then like the same thing. I had Jamar Chase. Not this year, but his rookie year. I got him. He kind of fell in my lap.
Yeah.
And I got him and he did amazing. Out? But yeah.
He had a couple of drops in the summer and he just dropped. I got him in like the 5th or 6th round, his rookie or something ridiculous. He just I was like, finally, I'll take the risk. And then
Justin Jefferson rookie year, I got him after like week 1 or 2. Like I just so happened to he had like a monster game and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, I need me a wide receiver. Let me grab this joker. I didn't even draft him. You know what I'm saying? I had so many injuries. I had Christian McCaffrey, like you were saying. I had a lot of guys that was out, man. So I think fantasy is good. Like drafting is good, but I think how you adjust. I like the leagues. I don't like the leagues, the waiver wire leagues. I like the ones where I can just go get them.
Yeah,
I can go get them on a Sunday night. My mother leagues, you gotta wait this Wednesday, Thursday. You don't know if you're gonna get them. You screwed. I like to go get them joints.
I mean, that's how I've won championships, is being deep in the trenches on the waiver. So
yep.
We'll take it. All right. So that concludes the end of the podcast. So thank you so much, Tiras, for coming on and giving us some really good questions to think about. That spurred some conversation. Now I got to go back and make a top 10 list of basketball players from last season. So putting that on my to-do list. I'll come back to you with a completed list. All right. So tell the people where they can find you on the internet, on social media.
So Facebook, Tiras Ray. Instagram, Ty Dollar XXL. No, I'm sorry. Ty Ray 910. Instagram and Twitter, Ty Ray 910. Say it again on all platforms. Or say it again on YouTube. Say it again on Instagram. And then on Twitter, say it again.
Awesome. All right, Kev, where can the people find you on the internet?
Well, you can find me following Say It Again on Twitter here in a minute. But if you're there, you can also follow me at KevNevick _. You can see me a few times a week over on Bite Size Sports. We have a regular NBA program called The Bounce on Thursday nights. We are off this Thursday. Now, I normally give my co-host James a lot of flowers here, but not only is he a Titans fan, but he decided to take the week off. So, I just had to throw a little jab at him here. But, when James decides he wants to work again, we will have The Bounce for you every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Bite Size Sports. But I also cover NBA and college basketball for Last Word on Sports. So read all of our articles. We got some great writers there covering all kinds of summer league stuff. So if you want to stay in the loop, if you're like me and you don't have time to watch it, we've got your back.
Awesome. I like it a lot. Gets the people going. All right. You can find HallAboutSports on several social media platforms. So on TikTok, it's HallAboutSports Pod, POD. On Twitter and Instagram, it's HallABTSports. And of course, on YouTube, it's HallAboutSports. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Of course, tell a friend. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under @TheMeganHall. That's THE, like the Megan Hall. And finally, for the latest content from HallAboutSports, head over to HallAboutSports.com, where you will see my latest content about the Atlanta Dream. I've been covering those games, so I've got some really good insights. Go check those articles out. And if you didn't know, Ryan Howard is an all-star now as of today, as she should have been all the way along. So, hey, there's my shout out to Ryan Howard. All right, you've been listening to HallAboutSports podcast, where the sports are real, the sounds of the game are real, and yes, the stories are real too. We will see you next episode. Peace out.